Another post about March for Medicare for All. It says, demand the same healthcare coverage Congress gets, paid for the same way. So freaking lootly. So why can't we just have the healthcare that Congress has? How about that? Like, what is your argument against that? Congress, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy. Like, what is your argument against saying an American worker coming up to you saying, hey, or a kid, because they love to use children. So a white kid with blonde hair. White kid with blonde hair comes up to him and says, hey, I want to have the same health care that you have, Mr. Joe Biden. What are you going to say? We can't afford that, little kid. Scram. Get out of here. Beat it. What is he going to say to that? You know what I mean? What is your answer to an American worker, to an American citizen, when they say, I would like to have the same health care that you have, Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Congressperson? What would be their answer? I think we should start asking politicians that very question. So the National Low Income Housing Coalition does these reports where they analyze income and affordability for different things. So let me share this tweet I did about that. Okay, so this tweet right here. By state, the hourly wage you need to earn in order to afford a 2-bedroom place. So if you're looking for a 2-bedroom place and you live in some of these cities, this is how much you need to afford to get or to be able to afford a modest, not high end, not the worst of the worst, a modest 2-bedroom. So California, obviously California where I live, $39.03. You know how ridiculous that is? So for me to afford a 2-bedroom, I need to make basically $40 an hour. You know what our minimum wage is? $14 an hour. It's like something has to give. The wage has to go up or the price has to come down. Like that's unsustainable. $14 minimum wage, but I need $40 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom. So a married couple each would have to work a full-time job making $20 each. $20 an hour each. That's a little more doable, but how many married couples that are working class are both making $20 an hour? There's some. I'm absolutely sure there's some. But what's the percentage? Then there's a couple of tweets where I go in a little more detail. Some of the bigger states. So like for example, right here, again, the source is the National Low Income Housing Coalition. For those who want that, check that out. They do have a lot of good work. So this one here, I tweet about Texas in particular. So for Texas, in the latest National Low Income Housing Coalition report, their minimum wage is $7.25. I mean, just saying that, $7.25. That's your minimum wage in Texas. You would need to work 100 hours to afford a 1-bedroom at that rate. 100 hours. That's essentially, or that is the same thing as 2 full-time jobs and 1 part-time job. So one single person making minimum wage in Texas would need to work 100 hours every single week to be able to afford a 1-bedroom, modest 1-bedroom in Texas. They would need to have 3 jobs, 2 full-times and 1 part-time to afford that. But capitalists don't see that there's a problem here. In order to afford a 2-bedroom in Texas, you would need to make $21.98. Your minimum wage is $7.25. So you're talking about over $14 difference. Who's getting the $14 raise soon? Anybody? Anybody making $7.25? Are we getting a minimum wage hike soon? A $14 one at that? Like, it's just wages have been so suppressed that it looks like this. Like the gap is so tremendous. Now, if you try to catch that up, you're talking about increasing wages by like $10, $20. It's so absurd. So let's see another state. Florida is another big state. A lot of people follow me from Florida. Two Fred Hampton leftists are in Florida, and that is JB and Meg. They're both in Florida. So in Florida, the minimum wage is $8.65, and you need to work only 93 hours. So if you live in Texas, if you move to Florida, you can save 7 hours every week, right? Now you have time to spend eating. You got to spread that out as an hour a day. Now you can use one meal. That's all you get. That's basically what capitalists want us, how they want us to live. So in Florida, you would need to work 93 hours to be able to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. That's 2 full-time jobs plus 13 hours. So it's not quite a part-time job, but 2 full-time jobs plus 13 hours. So like I said, if you're in Texas, if you move here, you can save about 7 hours if you move to Florida. Now, to afford a 2-bedroom in Florida, you need to make $24.82, basically $25 an hour. We're still fighting for $15, and we can't get that. Florida needs to be paid $25 an hour. Do we think voting is going to get us there? Is that what we think? Do we think voting is going to close that gap? Like we're going to vote somebody in, and that person who's being paid by corporations is going to vote a federal minimum wage hike of like $10. The state we're in is just the state, meaning where we're at, the status we're in is just so far gone at this point. California, I guess I can cover California. I live in California. I wasn't even aware the minimum wage was $14, but the minimum wage is $14 an hour. You might be thinking, wow, that's close to $15 an hour, which is what we're asking for, which is why we shouldn't be asking for $15 an hour. Because listen, $14 an hour, $1 away from what we're asking for. The fight for 15, California is $1 away from that. Let's see what we can get with that in California. So in California, I would need to work 89 hours, 4 hours less than Florida, 11 hours less than Texas. At $14 an hour, do you think $15 an hour is going to greatly impact that number? Not in California. Not in California. So 89 hours just to afford a 1-bedroom. 89 hours is the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs and plus 9 hours. So I would basically need to work Monday through Friday, 16 hours, sleep. When would I be able to drive? You know what I mean? Like I guess I would sleep for 6 hours, drive and eat. That's the existence that capitalists have pushed us in by suppressing wages. It's pretty disgusting. And I mentioned this earlier, $39 or $40, if you round it up with the 3 cents, is what I would need to make in California to afford a 2-bedroom. It is just terrible what these capitalists are doing to this nation. So I'm going to cover one more tweet here. I wanted to cover this one here. Let's hope that it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so this tweet here. This so-called labor shortage is proving the point that the United States must create a permanent underclass that's desperate enough to take these low-paying jobs. That was the tweet. 2,000 likes, over 500 retweets. And I go on to say, how do you create a permanent underclass? You destabilize families with mass incarceration and slave patrols, what they call patrols now, but the full name is slave patrols of their neighborhoods, underfund schools, never fix immigration issue, keeping people undocumented. Then I say, wake the F up or wake the fuck up. It's just terrible. I mean, I'm just imagining what I'm saying, and that's why I'm just astonished that these people can treat other humans this way. So what does that tweet mean? So the way capitalism, in order for capitalism to function, there always has to be a class, a group of people who are so desperate, they'll take jobs that are paying starvation wages. That is a necessity for capitalism, especially American capitalism. That is a necessity. So now let's talk about how that's applied in American society. So let's take the black community. So that means you underfund their schools. Let's talk about the white community. That means you underfund rural area schools. Also, that creates a permanent underclass in rural America, and it creates a permanent underclass in urban America. Again, I'm going to keep going back to this. You have to have a class of people desperate enough to take very low paying or starvation wage jobs. That's the reason why we're hearing now labor shortage, labor shortage, labor shortage. What it is an incomplete sentence. It's a labor shortage at the pay rate we want to give. That is the complete sentence of what they're saying when they're talking. A labor shortage at the rate we want to pay. Now, if this was true capitalism, like what they teach us in school, the market determines everything. The market is saying people should be getting paid $25 at these fast food restaurants also. That's what the market's saying. Do you think they're going to do that? These restaurants will rather close than pay you what you should be paid, especially these chains. They'll just close it and just make money off the ones they're able to keep the starvation wages intact. They'll rather close the location than do that, because to them it sets a precedent, and you can't set a precedent where we're paying labor what their value is. We can't. Capitalism cannot set that precedent. But now I'm going to roll this conversation into let's talk about general strike. But what I think this so-called labor shortage is showing, and I'm hoping people are seeing this, is that the power is ours. Look at the panic. 9 million plus jobs are vacant. And that's just from people not even going back to work. This is not even a strike. But look at the panic. Take away those UI benefits, which, by the way, has not done anything. There has been no uptick in people trying to look for work in those states that have taken away those benefits. But that is a clear indication. Why would you take away benefits? Why would you say, hey, you who are getting paid $1,600 from unemployment, we're going to make that now $600. Why? So we can force you who are now only getting paid $600 instead of $1,600 to have to go and take this very low paying job because you are desperate to pay your bill. I think Richard Wolff called that forced labor. Isn't that forced labor? And just right now, for whatever reason, I'm really on this labor shortage deal. So I watch a ton of video from local news outlets, and it's literally 98% from the perspective of the business. That please come help. There's jobs are available, as if people are supposed to view jobs as anything other than a means of paying for bills, a means of living, not careers, jobs. Like we're supposed to be conditioned to look at jobs as like, yeah, let's go. Like this thing that we all excited to go do for low wages. It's astonishing to me when I watch these videos, because it's almost, they really believe people really should be doing that. They really believe people should be clamoring for these low-paying jobs, because this is very similar to what the effects a general strike will do, except that we will have listed demand that if you don't do this, we ain't coming back to work. But the point I'm making is, look what's happening. 4 million people quit their jobs, I think, back in April. 9+ million job openings that are being reported. If we were to add another 7 million people to those numbers of general striking, we're talking 20 million people or close to it not going to work. Whether it's you're not returning the 9 million, or the 4 million who just quit their jobs, or the 7 more million who are saying, I'm joining you guys. I'm joining you other workers in trying to push these wages to where they should be. And I think that this is an opportunity to do that. I don't know how it could be done, but I'm just saying, I think we're at a point to where people have money saved up. People are already being picky about their jobs. If we can get just the word out about this, hey, maybe not call it a general strike, because maybe it's not technically a general strike, but it's close enough to it to where we're getting at least pay increases. A general strike would just add some other demand. So I've been talking a long time. I did see a All right, so I'm going to discuss a couple of more of your comments, and then I'm going to sign off for today. I did not plan to go over an hour, but it's fine. Um, don't stop. I got to stop only because I got to go pick up my daughter. Oops. Time for a 4-day work week. Absolutely. I mean, just think of that. Pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, I mean, you're working 40 hours. You're seeing your family on the weekends. Maybe if they don't have a weekend job, like you're like capitalism is not even allowing you to see your family. Like capitalism affects so many areas, not just economics. It doesn't allow you to see your family. It breaks up relationships. What's one of the number one reasons for a divorce rate in the United States? Money or the lack thereof. And all of us who are lacking money is lacking it for one reason, and that's capitalism. So, great comment. So, let's see what other comments here. You had already given up on TYT, huh? Even before. I get it, bro. I get it. Never was big on TYT. Like, I'm a person that I lean heavily on my instinct, especially a vibe of a person. And instantly, there's two people that people loved back in the day where I instantly got a vibe like I'm not that person. I'm not AOC and Cenk Uygur. Those two people, even when people liked them, and I just had to keep my mouth shut. It was just a vibe. It's a vibe of something about this person doesn't mix well with me. Something is different about this person that I don't like, and I always go with that feeling. And to me, it's just coming into fruition now that we're seeing. I mean, Seek we've seen for a while, but AOC we've seen for a while. So actually, both we've been seeing for a while. But yeah, Cenk, I said Seek, but Cenk, a lot longer, I would say, than AOC, or maybe just as long. Maybe some of you feel like it's just as long. So that's kind of how I evaluate the majority report. Sam Cedar, just never was a person that always got a vibe from him. Also, not as bad as the first two I mentioned, but I always got a vibe. I got a vibe from him that he didn't know what he was talking about. That's the vibe I got from that guy when I watched him years ago. So I'm not talking now, because a lot of people might say, yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because a lot of people was liking him 3 years ago. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people liked him 3 years ago that don't like him today. And I'm saying even then, just got a vibe that he didn't know what he's talking about. And that's why I said I would watch it because of Michael Brooks. He seemed to be a lot more knowledgeable, and I liked what he was saying more. But anyway, I've been talking too long. I'm rambling, so I'm going to take off now. So this is the end of the stream. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I just kind of went on the fly, and I know I may have rambled. That kind of happens after I've taken a couple of puffs. So, but hopefully I did touch upon some good points. Thank you for joining me. I am signing off. This is Compton J